back on now.
Are you on?
Starting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we come out of executive session where no action was taken at 8:38, 9:38. We're a little late.
Yes, we are.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Andy will be back briefly. Roll call, please.
Sykes.
Yes.
Ott.
Yes.
Bowman. Gross.
Yes.
Overmars.
Yes. Okay, at this time we will, and I apologize for being a little lengthy there. We will recess as the Board of Commissioners. We will convene as the Board of Equalization. And we will ask for a roll call.
Gross.
Present.
Bowman.
Roll call.
Yes.
Sykes.
President.
Here, proof of publication for this meeting, this part of the overall meeting, May 23rd. It was in the News Times. It was also on our website. Next up, we need to, open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers, as well as in the outside of our chambers and on the website. Next up, we need to review and approve the minutes for April 30th, 2024 Board of Equalization meeting.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ott.
Here.
Gross.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Yes, adopt today's agenda.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Ott.
Yes.
Overmars.
Yes. Okay, and the first item on the agenda is hold a public hearing on permissive exemptions. So at 9:40, and that public hearing was posted in the News Times May 17th. It was also posted here and on our website. So at this point in time, we are holding a public hearing where anybody in the public can come forward and testify if they would like regarding the permissive exemptions. And we will wait and see if anybody has an opportunity, and if nobody comes forward, Kurt, you can explain just a little bit. This obviously is the third time
I think it's the third time.
we've met on permissive exemptions, so we'll
Kurt
give,
Bolton, York County Assessor.
Thank you.
Again, this is the third time we've met on this. These are what we have left here are the Grace Children's Home permissive exemption applications I have recommended for denial, and that the board, last time you met, had a split vote, so nothing, had to redo this again. So I think you all received the information, the copies of the exemptions, the questions that I sent to Grace Children's Home, their response to it, those questions, and some articles in the corporation, I believe, as well.
okay, once again, does anybody from the public want to comment on this? And we will have an opportunity for Grace to come up in a minute once we close out the public hearing. Good morning.
My name is Roger Siebert.
Go ahead and
And I'm
have a
here
seat,
to
Roger.
represent Grace Children's Home. I graduated from high school in 1949 with the first set of kids that came to Grace Children's Home. So you know how old I am.
Okay.
Anyways, and so I've seen over time how Grace Children's Home is changing. And the state has a lot to do with it. They don't send the children anymore to be in these homes, just like Epworth Village. And so now they have to do a private thing, and so they've had to change with the time. Well, right now, I was in Denver, and Lincoln and Omaha are basically 100% booked up with horse therapy. And so Henderson Children's Home is going to horse therapy. So I think when those people come there for horse therapy, and when they stay in those buildings, they do not charge them, but they leave voluntary donations when they stay there. And sometime when missionaries come home from places, they let them stay there voluntarily to stay in this home. And until the government changes the rules, they won't have children in those buildings anymore. So I'm 100% in favor of giving them the exemption because they're strictly volunteers that help with the horse therapy and things like that. that they have a chance to stay there, and retired missionaries, stuff like that. So they're not really charging the people for those homes. They are voluntarily giving some money to them. And so the children's home has to change with the times, just like everything in life. We can't do like we did 100 years ago, and we couldn't do it like 50 years ago. And so we have to go with the times. And after I saw this widow that donated a lot of money, Ms. Wilcox, to the children's home, she went, and the people have never had an adopted child, or never been adopted, or never had a handicapped child. They don't know what they're talking about sometimes. They don't have the sympathy. I've got an adopted wife, I've got an adopted brother-in-law. We've helped some of the children's home kids over the years. And so I'd like them to continue the tax exemption.
Okay, thank you, Roger.
Anything else?
No, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else at this time would like to comment?
Willard Peterson, 514 Road 13, New York. I live south of Bradshaw. I am from Bradshaw. Forget about the York. After sitting through the other discussions you've had on these exemptions and so forth, it kind of started making me think. As Roger said, back in the day, if it had anything to do with religion of any kind, the exemptions were just allowed. That's just what you did. Well, times are changing, and in my thought process, what is happening is a lot with legislation, and some of what you guys do because of legislation at all different levels. It's become, exemptions have become a money hunt in my thought process. We've got to find some money to run the county somewhere. Property taxes are the main thing. Oh, by the way, some people were asking about that, and somebody looked it up that had more energy than I did. Property taxes in Nebraska started in 1857. Now, if you know your history, that's 10 years before we became a state, because property taxes were put into place the first year Nebraska became a territory. So that's been around forever. And we're starting to say, that don't work, that don't work. Everybody at every level is working. So going back to the religious side and so forth, and I spent some time around Henderson, and I've heard all kinds of people on all different sides. Well, they're hiding money, or they're not doing this, or they're not doing that, or whatever. But I just want you to think about in the terms of that, if much of any of what they say is true about trying to help out other people in some ways, in the long sense, that helps you guys out too, because some of those people that are in dire need, that are maybe getting a place to live, we just heard from Blue Valley, maybe that's just not a bad deal. And so, don't make me come up here again and think that you guys are just looking for money. Because I will.
One last call for anybody from the public. At this point in time, we'll close out the public hearing, and we will move on to discuss and act on permissive exemptions. Is the representative from Grace here today? Would they like to speak today? Come on forward if you would like, name and if you would, for the record.
My name is Mark Danielson. I'm the Executive Director of Grace Children's Home, and I appeared here 2 months ago at the first hearing. And I'd also like to invite Marty Blocker up. He is an employee of Grace Children's Home,
Okay.
and worked with Equine Therapy. So, Marty, if you want to come up. I really don't have a lot more to report. You've been given the information that we provided. We have unapologetically sought to try to provide positive outcomes for children. There's a huge problem in our state, it's what we're doing now isn't working. The rise of foster care is simply an indication of the problem, not the solution. And so we really want to be solution oriented. We want to stop the repetitive cycle of children ending up in foster care. And to do that, we've got to put this thing in reverse and go upstream and figure out where the problem is. And that's really what we're doing. We're doing point therapy. I wish, I'd be happy to provide written testimony of our parents that we service. The comments we get from them is unbelievable about the way their children are able to emotionally regulate after the times and sessions that we meet with them. Last time I came here, I said we were going to be doing approximately 500 sessions. This next year, it's gone up to 600 now since we last met 2 months ago from additional kids coming in. I don't honestly know where this thing's going to stop, but quite honestly, I'm getting tired. This is being, and Marty is part-time, and he's been with us for a year, a little over a year and a half now. But I guess just if I could have him give a first-person perspective on what takes place. And I listen, I would encourage you, and you'd be more than welcome to come and sit in and see what happens. Or listen to a mother tearfully say, you know what, my child came here today completely dysregulated, uncontrollable, and after 45 minutes of working with a horse and a worker, that he's laughing and engaging. This is a child who's autistic, and you just don't control their lives, but we try to intersect them where we can. So we're going to, regardless of decisions made here today, we're going to continue doing what we've been called to do, and that's to try to mitigate some of the trauma that's the kids have experienced. And I think it's been very, very well put before that any efforts that we make in this are going to have ongoing effects, both socially and financially, because we're continuing to see fifth generation foster children. It's time to stop it. It's time to figure out what's going on. So, Marty Blocker.
My name is Marty Blocker. I live at 540 South Main in Henderson, Nebraska. And as Marcus says, I've been part of this organization for a year and a half. I've lived down here. I realize the need for traumatized or mentally, should we say, challenged kids, and by using horse therapy in Grace Children's Home, and that's the part I'm the most active in, you can see changes in kids rather rapidly. Now, kids that come from all aspects of life, they arrive or come to us the first session or so, and they absolutely have no security. They have no security. They don't know what's happening next in their lives. And with the use of horse therapy, at least they can find an attachment, a connection, and a trust that most kids really haven't experienced that in their lives before. We try to go on with these kids, not only physically handling horses, but we try to reach them spiritually also. And we do that through group prayer. We do that with witness. It's a very needful thing. And I agree with Mark that foster care is basically a band-aid to the problem. Foster kids, they've all, no matter how young they are, they've always got that wonder, where am I going next? What's happening in my life next? Adoption gives kids security. Now, working with kids that, whether they live at their home or whether they are foster kids, we're trying to give them one sense of security in their lives. And I guess in a year and a half, I've seen kids change drastically. going from trauma and distrust to something that they look forward to, and they know this is going to be there. This is going to continue to be there. And I guess in my heart, I feel that program, we don't, again, we do not charge for our services. Nobody pays us. The only thing we ask is that they bring their kids to us, and we really want the parents to watch and see what we're doing with the kids. And again, I'd like to offer anybody, come out and watch what we're doing, see what we're doing with kids. And I guess that's our biggest testimony, is seeing how the kids are handled and seeing the change in them after several weeks, several months of horse therapy. Thank you.
Any questions from the board for the two gentlemen? Okay, thank you, guys. So in front of us, we have the exemptions for Grace's home. You know, the last time it was, we talked about it, was a 2-2. We are a full staff now. So we have the applications for exemption in front of us. Kurt, do you have any other comments regarding?
Oh, I do not.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve all of the gee, many Christmas applications for exemptions. Thank you. Gee,
I didn't want to give you the words. Okay. We do have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Is there any other discussion regarding this?
I'll just say, so I think that, I mean, there's been good comments, told us kind of what the facilities are being used for. There was, I think, a list of 8 here that were in question. The ones that I have question are basically the ones where an employee is living in those houses. All the other ones I have no problem with. So that would be my statement.
Okay. Any other discussion?
The motion's to accept for all, right?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Bowman,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Rhodes,
No.
and Overline.
Yes. Thank you. Next up, Kurt.
Tax list correction. Next, this is for personal property. It was recorded in York County mistakenly because it was actually located in Stewart County. So their accountant contacted us, we got it fixed, and so that's what's before you this morning.
Any questions occurred on this one?
Motion to accept tax list correction.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Overline.
Yes. Okay. You want to comment on that before the Tax Equalization Review Commission? Part of its statewide equalization proceedings find the levels of value for real property in York County for tax year 2024 meet the requirements of law.
Yep, statewide equalization this year. They did a little different. They had each county zoom in or they could show up in person. So it was over the course of 5 days where Turk met with each assessor and then just kind of went over their levels of value, the abstract we sent in, everyone sent in, and we're, like it says there, I can't remember, does it have the levels of value listed then on it?
Except for, just the acceptable range,
Okay.
69 to 75%. And Kurt,
That's fine, I can get that for you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah, everything.
the main paragraph is it meets the requirements of
Yeah,
law.
no show cause hearings, so no need to go back to court for changing the values or anything like that. If there were some that, some counties had some show cause hearings where clerk's probably gonna tell them, you need to up it or lower it, and they usually shoot, we always have to go for the midpoint, for that except 4 inches, so. We're stuffing envelopes now, we'll probably be sending out about 5,600 change evaluation notices here. We have to do that on or before June 1st, so that means protest season's gonna be coming around next month and in July. Kelly and I have been working on that, making sure we can get everything coordinated there so nothing gets missed. And then also we sent out some personal property postcard reminders. Personal property was due to our office, returns were due to our office on May 1st of this year. Anything after May 1st, there's a 10% penalty assessed to it. Anything after July 1st, there's, I can't remember, it's a little higher, maybe 25%. Don't quote me on that one. So we sent out the reminders saying, hey, get your personal property returns in before the July deadline, because we don't want to have to put the extra big penalty on there. So there was some confusion. People are wondering, why are they getting a tax statement? Well, they're not getting a tax statement. It's just a reminder, please come by our office and file your property, personal property return. So just want to kind of clear that up a little bit. If anyone has questions, give us a call. And then also we're collecting homestead applications yet, so that's July 1st is the deadline on that one. So this year.
Tentatively, we're looking right now at the last meeting of June. If there's any protests,
That's right.
we will start the hearings in June and finish them up at the first meeting in July.
Right, yeah, because I think the last meeting in July, we technically do it yet, but that's July 23rd, and you guys have to act on these by July 25th, and that's just kind of pushing it, Kelly and I thought, so.
Well, I thought I heard no way.
Yeah. That's probably what we should do.
I think that's what I was told.
Just listening to us.
Okay, is
That's
that
all I
everything,
got.
Kurt?
Yep, you got anything for me?
Mm-mm.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, we will close out the Board of Equalization. We will jump back up to the Board of Commissioners, and Glenwood has been patiently waiting, so.
We need all three of us.
Absolutely. Bring a chair and introduce everybody.
And do you all have the maps that we shared with Commissioner Overmeyer?
One, did you bring, so I think in front of everybody we have York 3.
You do have York 3?
Yes.
Okay, and that's, I guess, the one you really want to just talk about this morning.
Okay.
Then we have York 3 and 2.
Right.
We wanted to kind of present a little something different about York 2.
Okay. So in front of everybody, they are looking at York 3.
Jennifer Raymond, Glenwood Telecommunications, and Allison Ritchie, and Aaron Westcoat.
Thank you.
I guess what I briefly wanted to discuss in regards to the example for York 2, which we had already provided prior. After actually interacting with the Nebraska Public Service Commission, we kind of had them take a look at what we were looking to offer. They've actually, it's called NUSF 99, where Windstream has already received funding to provide services in that particular area. So with them telling us that, we don't feel that that application is going to be successful whatsoever. We do feel that that one is going to be challenged, or the commission is going to ask us to review that application. So I did want to show you, we actually learned that last week. So with that, we're looking at York County 3. Again, this is to the now west of our current bill that we're working on, moving up to the interstate and so forth. Again, we've got 53 locations, and a project cost of, let's see, $1,418,000 is the estimated project expense on that.
Because what I have is 1,439,322. Has that been updated?
What was that number? I'm sorry.
1,439,322.
Okay, so yes, this has been slightly updated, so it's 1,418,000.
Can we update it again?
047. No, no.
That's the last
Yeah,
time.
right.
That is the last time.
Okay.
We're headed in the right direction.
Yes,
Let's
we
do
are.
this
I
again.
used to say a little bit older, so
I'm sorry. 418.
1,418,047.
All right, thank you. I wrote it down this time. Okay, so just to review the process again, the applications for the grant would go in by July?
July 8th.
Okay. And the strength of the application would help with a partnership, would help?
Correct. Yeah, in regards to the different scoring process and so forth.
Okay.
Again, that anything that can enhance a higher score, that is definitely.
Okay. And is there any recommendations from Glenwood in past experience where that partnership would be, dollar-wise? Is there any, I mean,
We've had various with the last, I guess we worked with Phelps County, Fillmore County, Fayette County. They've all had different contributions and so forth. We're looking at anywhere, with the expense of this, even knowing this is all rural, and we have the opportunity to actually not double these funds, but actually receive 3 times the amount of whatever we do contribute. We're looking at, which would be we really feel we would be successful with it, is 400,000
okay.
consideration.
You would ask of the board 400,000.
And is there anything else that would help this application? I know we're not going into communities. And as we talked to you a little bit, as when me and Daniel had a sit down with you, you know, if we could get close to the communities, that way, at that point in time, if the community decided to bring it in or ask you to bring it in, that we'd have that available to them. With this particular one, we got, you know, we have that small community that we talked about a little bit, was Lushton. We're a couple miles or a mile and a half away. Is that something that you know, as we visit, is that fairly close to where if Lushton said, hey, we would like to really entertain, now, there's not a lot of us here, but we would like to upgrade, get fiber in there, that mile and a half or mile 3/4, is that a high dollar or hard?
It is, but I mean, if you think, I don't know how many homes are in Lushton by any stretch, there'd probably be a percentage of homes that we would say need before we'd say yes to just go. If that makes sense,
Right.
not just go for 1 or 2, we'd have to have 50%, 40%, something around there to go do it, but.
Yeah. And for example, we currently have, besides the York application, we were successful with this last round. We had rural Garden County, which was just to the east of Llewellyn, Nebraska. We actually decided at our own expense to overbuild the community of Llewellyn, because again, working with them and so forth, so.
We
do
were a
have-
mile and 3/4 away from.
So we do
that,
have some
so.
history that once we do get close enough, and when we work with those communities, again, having that kind of a target take rate and so forth, we are willing to then overbuild those communities. Not guaranteed, but we do have some history of it.
Well, Lushton's a little bit smaller than Llewellyn.
Yes, it is.
Llewellyn isn't big, but
Yes, it
Lushton
is.
is just a little bit
Yep.
smaller. Gentlemen, this is our opportunity to ask any questions that we would feel. There has been a push, would you say federally, state-wise, there's been a push to get fiber.
Correct, that is correct,
And
yes. And again, just to mention, that as you were talking about the scoring, again, this application, should we put one in, is going to be a tier 1 application, which we get more points for that, because all 53 locations that we're passing are unserved, which again, the highest speed that they're eligible for is, at this current time, is 25 meg down, or 25 down, 3 up. That is considered unserved. There is an underserved that takes it into then a tier 3, but we do not have any of those locations in here. So again, that also strengthens our application.
And this would be something that we would ask to participate in. The decision would be made towards the end of the year for successful or not.
Correct.
And then the build out, if we were successful, if we partnered, would be next year at this
In the
time.
spring, Just- And again, as a reminder, currently, the schedule for the fourth round of the bridge grant, the actual awardment is not made until that second week of January.
Okay.
I wanted to be clear on that as well.
And at this
Did
time,
we-
this is the last round of
Of the bridge.
Of the bridge grant.
That was the fourth round of the $20 million that the Nebraska Public Service Commission has set aside.
But then there's others in
Yes,
the
there will-
pipeline.
Yes, there will be feed, obviously, is the big one coming down that federal line. There is still currently the Capital Projects Fund, which is another 20 million. I do believe they're gonna have one more round of that next year as well. But the state side of it is kind of slowly starting to trickle down because of the federal side of that.
Okay. Danielle, did you have something?
I did. I'm not sure if I can recall it. The timeline, like if we would move forward with this and commit, let's say ARPA funds, those ARPA funds have to be committed by the end of the year. I know we had a brief discussion. You were looking into some
Yes.
possibilities, like since this is not going to be possibly decided till January, did you find anything out on that?
I actually spoke with Candace, not what is Candace's last name?
Meredith?
Candace, yes, correct. At this time, NACO is working with the national side of things because there's other counties in the same boat, not just specifically with internet kind of purchase or commitments and so forth. Currently, there has not been a workaround. However, what they suggested, and we've also kind of thought of as well, that for those that still do have ARPA funds, because there are a couple other counties we're working with that do, that in their budget, should they have something, I'm just going to throw out an example of gravel, that they're taking whatever they might have had budgeted from a particular account, taken from that account for a commitment, but then using their ARPA funds then to cover then this other what they had budgeted for. Or again, one county that we're working with, they then actually are doing kind of a swip swap with their inheritance funds and so forth. So that's at this point how we're doing it. So just an FYI, yes, I did speak with Candace at this time. It's not nothing official at this time. I wanted to be clear on that.
Any other questions? Comments?
So if you're asking the 400, if that would be your ask, what is there a match on the Glenwood side? Are you funding some also, and then the state
The
side?
actual grant itself, we have, it's called in-kind contribution, and that's where we have that piece of it. However, we're currently, after these projects are complete, we do not receive any further funding from the state or the federal side. With that, we're always going to have ongoing expenses that are going to be the responsibility of Glenwood. So with this, even with our in-kind contribution and so forth, we're probably still looking at a good 2 years before return on our investment and so forth. So again, just knowing there's going to be continued ongoing throughout the life of this network that right now that's how we're actually looking at it. But again, with the one that we were successful in this last round, we did have our contribution at that time.
And I'll give you an opportunity to remind of the current project, and you can give us an update on where that project sits right now. And the current project that's taking place, let's call it in the Sachs Lake area of our county, that was done, and our contribution was a letter only.
Correct.
And
Yes, letter of support.
you had, it was a $700,000
And Aaron, I think you're the one that kind of had more involved.
rough numbers, and I think,
in between 800 and 900.
and your guys' share was just,
We're over 25%.
was it 25%?
Yes.
Okay, so you did have a little bit of investment in that one. And can you give us a brief update on how that one is going?
Yeah, I believe they will be closing up. We have splicers in right now going through and splicing the network from what is done. They were in Sachs Lake last week. I'm not 100% sure if they finished that up. We had a boring, we had to bore under the lake to get some to the other side. Yes, it was interesting. They were going north. They were supposed to be done last week. I believe the storms halted that, and they think they'll be done this week probably. So then we'll be trying to install people within a month.
And again, this is a reminder, Hayden Construction out of Topeka, Kansas has been our contractor, and we have been very, very pleased. This is the first we've worked with them, and where they've really done a nice job. They're very close with
Do, with other counties that you've partnered with on these types of things, have you entered into any type of service level agreements or?
No, we actually have, right now, I can't think of it, an MOU, memorandum of understanding, that working, actually this was created when we started our first project was Fillmore County. That it is an agreement, and again, basically, Warren holds Glenwood responsible for, we need to ensure that we're following the grant guidelines and so forth. The one piece in there that for the counties is more just pay schedule of, again, whatever funds they might have contributed, I think, up front 25%, and then after a certain point, 25%, and so on. But really it holds Glenwood responsible for ensuring that we follow through with what we committed to doing. And there's also a statement in there that if we do not do that, the county has the right to claw back the funds that they did contribute. And I'd be more than happy to send an example over later this afternoon of what we utilized in the past.
Anything else, Dennis?
The one last question, you mentioned the 400. Are you planning to, so you would plan to apply for a 1.6 million grant?
Again, it's the 1.4.
Just
Okay.
Correct.
All right. And so then, because the grant is a 3-time match, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And I see where you're getting at. So the way we've got it written here, again, it's project, estimated project cost, 1.418. So again, the grant that we're looking for is from the Nebraska Broadband grant is $1,063,535. I'm not quite sure how I should have questioned that myself.
Sure.
Yeah, I would actually have to get back.
Sure.
Our controller will have that information
Okay.
as far as how she's done this, but
Yep.
I would be more than happy to get back.
Yep.
I think it's, when we see these numbers, they look a lot.
Yes, I definitely understand that.
But when you start looking about connecting another 53 households, hopefully 53 households to a fiber network that gives our rural population just more stability and other advantages to do what they want to do. I truly do look at this as a multi-year project to spiderweb across this county. You got to get started somewhere and start working, and so I think it's a positive project for your county.
Not only sustain the current population, but actually look to grow it, where people know that they can come into York County and still, whether it be work from home or have to go to business and so forth with fiber connectivity, that they can be connected to throughout the world in doing business.
And, sorry, the application, first part of July, is when, and so, you need a commitment. If we were to move forward with this project, you want a commitment from us today, preferably, but definitely by the middle of
Definitely,
July, June.
Yes, definitely, until we can follow up with our explanation for the LRs and so forth. Within a couple of weeks.
Yep.
That way, again, it's just the process to actually complete the application is time consuming.
Sure,
so
right.
we'll put it-
Yep.
Yes, so I don't know, when the next meeting.
2 weeks.
It'd be 2 weeks from today, yep.
Which I think is definitely understandable.
And you'll want to submit that before.
Correct, yes, again, July 8th, we've always had that goal of submitting our application a week prior, just so that once we do that, that's when the commission starts to review it, and then they can guarantee that, or let us know that everything has been submitted properly, and they've received everything, because once 5 o'clock on July 8th is the deadline, and if something is missing or what have you, then it'll be.
Right, yep,
And it's a holiday, there's the month, okay.
yep.
Well, I think that if you'd like to see some more answers, we can definitely postpone any action
Sure.
till the first meeting.
Right.
And if they can get us some information, that'd be great. I would, in my mind, I would think that if we use any funds, just because of, if we start talking about ARPA and if something doesn't happen, and then, yeah, I would prefer to look at inheritance on it, because, even though 800,000 once again sounds like a lot of money, I don't think it's going to be hard throughout the next budget
Right.
year to earmark ARPA funds and get them taken care of, and then we wouldn't have to do any jostling or,
Sure.
or moving around or anything like that. It would be my opinion to look at it like that, but up to that number that they're looking at. Any other questions currently? Other than just the one answer?
So, yeah, so the two things would be the funding, what you would, how they're getting their numbers, I guess. And then I do think that if we move forward, we would want some sort of MOU agreement. So if we could look at that and have our county attorney take a look at it.
I'll definitely send that over this
Yep.
afternoon, so we get started on that. And as soon as I find out my information, I'll definitely communicate that to you email.
Perfect.
Versus just hitting you up. in 2
Yep,
weeks.
no, that's perfect.
So at this point in time, let's postpone any action until first meeting in
June.
June.
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And we'll look for that information, and then we'll have an answer at the next meeting. Okay, we have 2 things left, discuss zoning, and we need to approve payroll and vendor claims. There is no general assistance I'm aware of today. We took care of the transfers earlier, so at this point in time, I would like to look at the payroll and vendor claims. First off, I would like to look at the vendor claims, and ask if anybody has any questions. I know that Daniel and myself had a question, and maybe Jack, being on the visitors, you can help us with that. Looks like we had a claim for $20,500 for a sign in Bradshaw.
Right, Joe, that was fast, yes.
Yeah, but that's under promotion, not under improvement. Is that something that the board talked
They
about
did
at all?
talk about it, but they didn't, I think Sally wanted to talk,
Okay,
and maybe at our next meeting, because we did table, a couple of them that were presented,
okay,
and it was about their budget.
okay. Because this, I mean, it sounds more structure-ish. I understand their promotion, it's a sign, but that sounds, and obviously this board has the final say on the improvement. The promotion they run through, and we still have to approve the bills. But on this particular one here, it would be nice to know just a little bit more why one versus the other, for me. And if we feel like it's better out of the other, then we,
Right.
at that point in time, do it. But we do have that in front of us on a vendor claim. Any other that we caught on vendor claims that you guys want to talk about? It was obviously our third one of the month, so it's very relatively small.
There's always stuff to pay.
Yeah. I mean, on this one here, it'd be my opinion that we pull this one for 2 weeks and get a little bit of why the promotion, not improvement. And then maybe Sally is going to reach out to me. Yeah.
I think she was going to, yeah.
Okay. And once again, this is talking about the vendor claims. Any other discussion?
Motion to approve vendor claims, withholding, visitors promo 20,500.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Yes. Next up then, obviously we had an executive session. The executive session does with, had to do with personnel issue and payroll. So at this point in time, we have payroll in front of us and entertain a motion to move forward with payroll.
It is not. No. So it's already been approved by the department heads.
Any questions? At this point in time, I'll make a motion to push the payroll forward as presented.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to bring payroll forward as presented. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Oberman.
No.
Todd.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
And Brooks.
No.
Okay. Payroll is approved. Moving down then on the list, we have the reason I asked for discuss zoning. It's not the fact that we have lost, which we have, a zoning board member. It's the fact that I felt like we needed to give Andy a chance to, 5 of us pushed through some proposed regulations. We have a public hearing that we need to get set, now, and the same 5 are going to come, or not the same 5 are going to come back and vote on them. So I guess I felt at this point in time, Andy, to give you an opportunity to give some ideas of your feelings. I feel that the constituents, as well as everybody else involved, as they come forward to the public hearing, hasn't really heard, what you have to say. We know what the predecessor had to say, but unfortunately, that is all changing. So if you want to speak to it a little bit, I would encourage it, because at the public hearing, we're going to give them an opportunity to talk to us about their ideas too. So do you have, I know you said you had,
I have, some of my concerns with this is, A, why did we go so far away from what our zoning board was proposed? I guess, open for you guys' point of view, I didn't get to see any of that or hear any of that discussion. Some of the new proposed setbacks, I think are a little, I think there needs to be a bigger happy medium between what the board came up with, the commissioner board and the zoning board, than what's presented here, personally. The other thing that I've seen out of the zoning was, I can't remember what it was. I apologize. Dysfunctional or non-used equipment. There was in the original, there was a cleanup phase of 2 years. That is something I think that was struck from the commissioner's revisions. I would like to see back in that as well.
Did we strike that, or did it get left off?
That was blue lined in the, so I get a little bit confused because before I got some of these emails, Stan had a bunch of information in his, so I was reviewing those. Not real sure what versions. I'm going back to Nathan's right now because I know that's probably the most current.
Yeah.
Guess what was the original vote on Lee's approval?
As far
Pushing
as,
the regs through.
Yeah,
It was a 3-2 vote
gotcha.
to push those through. And I can tell you, Andy, as far as the recommendations, basically what they are from the zoning board, and in the zoning board, just like a lot of other visitor promo board and different ones that said, they do bring recommendations. That doesn't necessarily mean the board agrees with everything they say. And that's where we tweak a little bit and can continue to look at it that way. There were some revisions on, as far as I know, and going back on memory, 4 wasn't really revised somewhat, but the main one stayed in there. But 3, there were some setback changes on 3 in that, and then we added different things too, into there also. So there could be more compromise. It's really going to end up back in this one again.
Yeah, I guess from my seat, what I'd like to see happen go forward is to have the public meeting with what was approved by this council.
I think the plan, I mean, at that public meeting, I don't know that we intend to take any formal action on approving.
At the meeting, no.
Correct, yeah. So more gather that input and then come back and see what.
And then make a final. And then we're also waiting, we brought on Marvin Consulting and awaiting.
That was my other question. How does that fit in here?
And I think he was going to get after that, and Nathan did apologize. I didn't talk to Nathan before the long holiday weekend. He had court this morning at 10, so he wouldn't be able to be here. But I assume, through conversations I'll have with him this week, that there's some conversations going on, because he was going to get after that piece of it right away and give some recommendations there too.
Yeah, I have not had a chance. I wanted to follow up on Nathan on a couple things on this as well too. But no, in my opinion, we need to have the public meeting, have the public hearing.
Well, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to, like I say, to that, because obviously constituents are part of yours.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would like to move forward with that meeting.
Okay.
So we can get this thing put to bed.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I do have some concerns, and I don't necessarily know that right now is the time to be discussing them.
Okay, so the public hearing then, I think June, you know, we gotta have that 10-day deadline, or 10-day, you know, prior to. So we'll be looking at sometime in June to do that. Does anybody have any,
Do we have any, and maybe it don't matter, as far as timeline from Marvin Consulting, when they thought they might have us some ideas?
it's, I mean, I got the insinuation from him, in a month, he'd have some looks at us and give some, so maybe mid-June.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I know we're gonna get busy in the summertime, but we
Right,
just have
yep,
to,
yep.
not only secure a facility, but look at that. So if we can have some ideas, keep looking at that calendar, it hasn't changed yet.
You don't wanna do it the 12th and 13th for sure,
And then we'll,
because you won't be here.
right.
I'm gone the 20th, 21st, and 24th.
So we could do it either the evening of the 11th, possibly.
And our June meetings are what?
11 and 25.
25, so
Maybe on the 18th.
18th, I have Four Corners.
Oh,
A lot of times Mondays are a little bit more open. Do we want to shoot for like 17th or 24th?
Oh, that'd be my, yeah.
Recommendation?
yeah. Sounds good to me.
So let's see if we can look, 17th sound all right?
Yeah.
I mean,
24th's not good.
17th, let's try to see if we can find a facility. And then that gives us plenty of time for the advertising. And then we can have that then. And hopefully that gives Marvin Consulting Group some time to get back to us and get some information in front of us, and we'll have a meeting in between now and then.
I do, while we're on the topic, I'll just throw it out there so that we can kind of be thinking about it. I mean, obviously, there's still people offering their opinions, but I did have someone call regarding, we had put that 1% cap on both the Class 3 and the Class 4. Their concern, or their thought was the class, possibly moving that to just the Class 4, in that Perennial Power, in their agreements to buy power, would have the ability to purchase power from a Class 3 facility, and if that, their only thought was if we came up on that max, we might be limiting what Perennial Power could use for generation right here in the county.
Okay.
And so that was a comment that was made.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll move forward. It will give us an opportunity. Anybody else have anything else on that? We'll look at those, Kelly, and see if we can, like I say, find it. Hopefully Monday night is not such a bad night to get it. Okay, as we look down the list, then, if we get everything covered. I believe so. Committee reports next. Who would like to start?
I can start with, we virtually covered everything for Barbie today.
Okay.
Still need to get with Blue Valley on getting on their meeting times.
Okay.
And me and you need to discuss switching boards.
Yes.
So, I don't know, is that something we need to do officially?
They are, yeah, well, I mean, they're appointed at the first of the year, so yeah, we can make that change if you guys feel like something's more comfortable.
Yeah, I think we got a better fit with him in Region 5 and me as Weeds liaison.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I don't have much to
Really?
add today.
I figured you'd cover last Thursday.
Well,
Forget about that,
I
right?
did forget about that one. We did attend an employee meeting on Thursday
And kick off the budget.
and the budget. Boy, there's more of it.
Long weekend, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
We'll stop.
Maybe. All right. Gentlemen?
Just the visitor bureau that we talked about,
Okay.
two of the, what do you want to call them? Let's see. Of the applications.
Grant applications,
The
okay.
grant applications were from, the chamber, and those were the ones that we tabled until we get more information on last year's budget. And that's what, Sally was gonna talk to you, or Bob, either one of them might contact. And as far as taking it out of the promotional or the budget, you would have to discuss that with you.
Okay.
That's it.
You good?
Nobody.
Okay, we did have last Thursday, we had quarterly, department head elected official meetings, we did have that, we did kick off the budget for York County, last week, so we'll be moving forward on that. I would like to congratulate Leroy, and Joe on their primary election wins, over the course of the last couple weeks, and, I guess if you are somebody that doesn't like change and don't like to see new faces, this board isn't for you because we've changed quite a bit here lately. But that's fine. Sometimes change is a good thing. We do have an opening on our zoning board, and I've reached out to the zoning board and asked them if they had any suggestions of anybody that would be willing to serve on that board. In the past, it's been a mix of rural, and because everybody in the county is a member of the county, and so we are looking for a replacement on that zoning board. Roger Morris resigned from that board. He had been on that board for 9 years. So we thank him for his service on that board, and we will be looking to get that filled also. And that is mainly what I have, other than long
Ask
holiday
you a question,
weekend.
Randy. Do we together agree who that should be?
Yes, that will be an appointment by this
Okay.
board to fulfill a term. They have, just like everybody else's, they have term dates, and I don't know what those, we just did them
I think August 2025.
last fall, something like that. So we had just reappointed, for some reason, they're all at the same time, and we've just reappointed them. Anything else? Anybody's forgotten or remembered?
I did attend a sheriff deputy meeting, so it's good to meet all the new faces in there again.
Okay. We are adjourned. Okay.